Welcome once again to the Belgian Bun podcast. I'm Rachel, and I hope you're doing really well. We're coming into the end of summer now. Just looking at the window, and it's really grey. It's like, where did our summer go? But hopefully, knowing British weather, we'll have some, changes really quickly. Because during one day, you could get all 4 seasons. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I've just come back from a bike ride, so I'm a bit tired and I'm not at the level of energy that I normally have. I don't know what it is. I remember as a kid, you could just jump on bikes and you'd be cycling all day until the street lights come on. But now, cycling is seen as something I have to do in order to keep my heart rate at a good level and my blood pressure at a healthy rate. So it's all about looking after yourself as you get older. But yeah, it's nice, being out there, in this type of weather, because it's not too hot and it's also not too cold. So I can't really complain, even though I'm being your typical British complainer right now. So there's a lot of things I've been trying since things have changed in the big wide world. And one of them is to try and be a lot more self-sufficient. And when I say this, I mean, doing things where you can make things yourself. I discovered this by going on YouTube, and there's this whole kind of community of people. They call themselves, homestead? So it's like a homestead community where they, grow their own veg, make their own cheese and milk and a lot of those other things, but also create their own kind of products. So they're body care products. So I've tried my hand at doing everything from making toothpaste to body creams to washing up liquid and laundry detergent as well. Some have been fails. So the washing up liquid, absolute fail, and I'm not even going to try to make my own bar soap. But toothpaste, I've done pretty well with, I'd like to say. So, after a good few attempts, I've actually come up with a nice recipe for toothpaste. If you're interested, you can always put a comment down and say, look, let me know about it. But it's really useful. And also what I found is it's made my teeth really, really white. So yeah, I'm not going to go back to like normal toothpaste now. I'm going to stick to using this new formula that I found. It took a bit of getting used to because it's not toothpaste that you squeeze through a tube. It's something that you have in a jar, like in a little pot, and then you scoop out and use. But it's pretty good. But yeah, the other ones I tried, I tried washing up liquid, and it said to, add like these essential oils, and I got a bit carried away. So my dishes were just coming out greasy, and I just couldn't understand it. I was like, what's going on? Why are my dishes so greasy? And it was the same when I tried to make like a shampoo, a body soap. It was the same thing. I was like, oh, it just feels greasy. But then, I realised that I was going overboard with this kind of fragrance oil thing. So, I'm going to just stick to my my toothpaste. Another thing I tried to do, because I really wanted to make a conscious effort to look after my health, and that was to switch out my deodorant to natural deodorant. Because I've seen a lot of that on the shelves. A lot of people are saying they use it. I've even got friends that swear by natural deodorant. So I was like, let me give this a go. You know what? I'm persevering, but I can just say natural deodorant is not going to be for everyone. I'm telling you now. If you're one of those people, or somebody that's a bit frowsy at the best of times, do not recommend natural deodorant to them if you really want to protect your nostrils. Because natural deodorant, it lasts for about, I would say, 3 hours. So you could put it on in the morning after your shower. You do a bit around the day. Don't let you fall asleep without having a shower or forgetting to put any more on. Because when you wake up, oh my days, it's bad. You smell like a teenage boy that's been in his room for like 6 weeks straight, just wearing the same clothes and living under the duvet. It does nothing. I think it's just there to kind of deodorize your fresh armpits, but it's not there to really block anything else. I didn't even know I could smell that bad, if I'm honest. I didn't think that it was capable inside of me. But I'm pushing it, I'm keeping up with it, because what friends have said is your body gets used to it. I mean, it's been like 4 months. But I do feel like I'm doing something a bit healthy. I'm just conscious that it's not something that I would wear going out. I'd wear it in the house, and then, you know, when you shower in the evening or whatever you decide to do, or after your exercise, you just put some more on. But when I'm actually mingling with the general public, I have to switch back to proper deodorant. It can't run. No, no, no. And those of you that think that it's working on you, you may need to think again. Somebody may not be telling you the truth. Obviously now a lot of us are working from home or furloughed at home, so we're not really interacting with work colleagues. So it's funny because you start to miss things at work. You know, you miss the kind of chats in the kitchen, or you miss just meeting up with your colleagues, friends that you've created in the workplace. You miss that kind of connection. Also the kind of bouncing off of each other. You know, if you're going through a stressful time, you could have a moan to your colleague, or you can, you know, just shout over about something, or if something funny's happened, you can talk about it. But you're missing that kind of like intimate connections that you have with your kind of work friends, as it were. But I'll tell you one thing I don't miss is that colleague that just chats way too much. You know, that colleague, like, you're trying to get on with your work, right? And they're like, hiya, and you say hi quickly, and they're pulling up a chair, or they're literally coming over to pull up a chair next to you. And these are always the colleagues I find that do their work, they've done their work, so they never fall behind, they're never off target, because they've done what they need to do. But once they've done it, oh Lord, they're coming for you. And then they're chatting, and then you're trying to do that kind of one-word answer, like, yeah, yeah, or that little smile that you do, where you carry on smiling, but you're obviously showing that you're looking straight at your computer and typing away, and they're not getting the memo. They're not getting it. So they carry on chatting in your ears. I don't miss those colleagues. Love them though when it comes to like the social side, but not when it's like, you know, when you're trying to get on with your work. And I saw a funny meme. I think my cousin sent it to me, and it had a guy had a label on his back. I don't know if someone stuck it there or if it was part of the joke. And it said something like, you know, I've got no self-control. If I speak to you, it's going to take an hour, so please leave me alone. And you know what? I thought a lot of businesses could do with little tags on desks. You know, like people can have like little color-coded flags. So it's like, you know, I don't like talking, or I like to talk for 5 minutes or so, or I've got a lot of work on today, so please don't disturb me, or I'm chatty, come and talk to me. You know, if they had those kind of indicators in the new office, you know, when everybody goes back in and, you know, the world of workplace changes, I think that would be a great help, because people then could navigate office politics and navigate office relations a lot easier. Just think, because you know how it is in office politics, especially with, I would say, women. We're not as open sometimes as guys are when it comes to communicating whether we're upset about something or something's bothering us. So a guy might say to another male colleague, look, mate, you chat a lot, I've got work to do. And both of them will walk away and not feel any offence to that kind of dialogue. Whereas with women, if a woman said to another woman, look, you're talking a lot now, you need to leave me alone, that would cause offence. So she doesn't say anything, and instead goes to the other women in the office and says, have you noticed that Rachel, she talks so much? Have you noticed that Rachel does this? So it's not really helping the situation, because the person that's committing the offence has no clue that they're disturbing people. But the rest of the office are aware that she is an annoyance. So yeah, flags would be a great idea. I don't miss, as I said, the kind of interactions like that, but maybe going forward, if we had something in place like that, it would be a much easier place to work in. So a few days ago, there was a ring at the doorbell, and it was my mum. And she came round and she had some chocolates, and she was like, happy anniversary to me and my husband. And we were like, whose anniversary are you talking about? And it was her that had to tell us that we're actually celebrating our anniversary that day. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but both of us were really surprised. We had totally forgotten that we had a wedding anniversary. Both of us think it's a good thing, because we've never ever put too much emphasis on wedding anniversaries or kind of marriage milestones, as it were. We did this from when we got married, basically. I remember when we got married, we always said, you know, we're not going to change how we are. We're not going to put any pressure on ourselves. And I think it's put us in good stead, because, you know, sometimes when people do form a relationship, everything's fine, and then they decide to get married, or they have a child, or they buy a house, and then they put all these kind of caveats on themselves and stipulations like, oh, we need to go out together once a week, or when it's our anniversary we must remember and must have a lunch, and we must do things like we did when we first got together. I think that added pressure just creates tension at the end of the day. If you go with the flow, then before you know it, you're hitting 10, 15 years and you're like, oh, this is all right, this is fine. And I think that's what's happened to us. So we literally had no idea. We always celebrate our wedding anniversary with a high five. Literally, that's what we do. So we'll do a high five, happy anniversary. But we forgot to high five this year. I think because of all that's going on, all the days are just melding into one, really. So it was nice to have mum round, and yeah, we've got some nice green and black chocolates that we've been sharing. But yeah, it did make me think that what has been the secret to a good marriage, or what is the secret to a good marriage? I'm sure there's lots of theories out there, but I would say one of the good things that you could do if you are married or in a long-term relationship is not change who you are. Not put too much pressure on anything. Just, just go with the flow, just chill. That person that you're with, they're not going to change when you get married. The day you get married, they're not going to turn into this different person that you're expecting. So it's no point having that expectation. I've always jokingly said it's good to have low expectations in your marriage. Simply because then you're never going to be disappointed. If you're with somebody or you're in a relationship and you're like, I expected you to be this and I expected you to do this for me, and it doesn't happen, then you're going to be forever disappointed and it's going to cause problems. Whereas if you're pleasantly surprised every day, it's great. Don't get me wrong, there are things that are going to, annoy you in a marriage, or they're going to annoy you in any relationship. But if you keep the expectations low, you should be all right. Just staying on that theory of, the secret to a long and lasting relationship, I would like to think that in certain areas, I'm quite laid back. But in others, I'm very, very particular. But once you know that about me, it's very easy to navigate. So, for instance, in terms of my level of generosity, I will give you the shirt off my back. I will give you my last £5 note. I really would. But I will not share certain foods with you. Foods that are special to me. So I'll give you an example. In our house, if I go shopping, my husband and son, there's certain things that they like to eat. So I might buy them things like chocolate donuts or blueberry muffins or a special fudge milkshake that my son wants. That's cool. And I won't even touch them. And then I will buy things for me. So I will buy specific cakes or, like a treat that's like, like a bag of crisps. And they're in some kind of, I don't know, lime and jalapeno flavour. Something that, I think, oh, that's nice. I'm going to eat that. They're mine. So what will get me angry quicker than anything is if you finish your food and then you come and start on mine. Don't take a set on the stuff that I've put aside for myself. I will lose it. I remember one time when I went to the shop and I bought what they call Belgian buns. So, Belgian buns are like, pastries, very like bun-like, bread-like, with like an icing on top and then a cherry. I bought 2 because I was going to have one that evening with a cup of tea, and then I was going to have the next one the next day with a cup of tea. It's all planned. It's all set out in my head. It's the Virgo in me. So I knew what I was going to do. When I went into the kitchen, I saw the bag was open and I saw that one was gone. Remember, I'd just gone shopping. My husband had gone and bust open the packet and got himself a cup of coffee and took one of my Chelsea buns. I lost it. I was vexed. I don't get angry about anything. I was vexed. And I was going, why did you take my food? I was looking forward to it. Because you know what it's like? Your mouth is ready for it. You know that you was thinking to yourself, I'm going to go and eat that now. My mouth was ready. My blood sugar was all low. I was all looking forward to sitting there with my nice cup of tea, eat my Belgian bun, save the cherry till last, all of that. There was a whole ritual as to how I was going to eat it. Because we've all got rituals to how we eat food. Whether we eat Jaffa cakes where we, eat the chocolate bit off the top and then the sponge underneath and save the jelly part in the middle, or whether you eat like, I don't know, Kit Kats where you bite off all the chocolate and leave the wafer. There's a ritual to how we eat foods. It's part of the whole pleasurable experience. So anyway, I'm kicking off in the kitchen and my husband's like just looking at me laughing like, what's wrong? Like, you've got another one. You've got two there. So for me, that was getting me more angry. And what did I do? In a fit of anger, I flung the other Chelsea bun at him. He laughed even harder because he was like, now you got no Chelsea buns. Now you're there, the thing's rolled on the floor, icing side down, caught all the nasty dust in the corner of the kitchen. You can't even eat that. So you've lost the one that I ate, and now you can't even eat the other one. Because my husband's really calm compared to me. I was even more vexed. But that will get me faster than anything. You take my food that I've saved, it's on. And I think it stems from when I was young. My dad used to go to the supermarket and get all our foods, you know, and we always had nice stuff. Like we had donuts on a Saturday, which was great, from the Sainsbury's bakery, and then we'd have Mars milks with our donuts. So it's always something to look forward to. And then what Dad would always do is he'd pop to Marks and Spencer's and get his treats, like, I don't know, cream slice or some eclairs. And he always kept it in like the top compartment of the fridge. You know, like some of those older fridges where you kept all the cheese and things like that. He'd keep it in there. And he'd always say, like, these are mine, don't touch them. So I grew up always seeing this kind of exclusive thing you could do as an adult where you could buy stuff for yourself and keep it for yourself. And I think that's where it stems from. I'm not a person, I'd say, that gets pleasure from food. You know, some people, they really enjoy food. It's a comfort to them. They use it, you know, emotionally and things like that. For me, it's just certain little things that, you know, form that pleasure. So whether it's like macaroons or, like I said, like Belgian buns, and then I'll eat them ritualistically. You know, those are the things that get me. But yeah, if you mess with my food, I'm messing with you. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, actually. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we're the same age, and we were just talking about eating out, and then she was saying, oh, look, I'm going to cook a lovely meal and invite you and others around. What don't you eat? And I started the sentence with, I'm not too fussed, I'm quite easy, really. And then I went into all the stuff I don't eat, and I realised at this big age, today I realised how much of a fussy eater I am. Because she was like, you are fussy. And I never see myself as a fussy eater. I always saw myself as a kid that just ate food that was given to me. But I think when I was young, I just ate it because you had to. You know, you get in trouble if you didn't finish your food, and there were no other selections, there were no choices. Whereas now I'm in a position where I can choose what I eat, and there is a lot of stuff that I don't. So the main things I don't eat, which is really bizarre, but I can't get my head around sweet vegetables. And I don't know if I've mentioned this in any other podcast, I might have, but I can't eat stuff like sweet corn, peas, parsnips, carrots, any vegetable that is sweet. Just, it messes with my head. It's like, that doesn't make sense. Vegetables should be savoury, fruits should be sweet, unless it's an avocado, but that's just different. Another thing is, I can't do condiments that are used incorrectly. So I was watching some recipe with my brother, and the person was going to make some loaded French fries. So they were getting the French fries, then they were going to get cheese and do other things. I think they were going to put a salsa on it. But they went and bought some ragu, that you know, that spaghetti sauce, like, ugh. So they got ragu to put on the chips, and then they're going to put cheese. Oh, I just feel sick thinking about it. That just messes with me again, because ragu is supposed to be heated and put into a pasta dish. Why are you using a hot pasta sauce as a cold condiment? It's wrong. It's all kinds of wrong. I can't do it. So things that aren't supposed to, you know, be in the right place, they mess with me. So people that put tomato ketchup in their cooking, nasty to me. Why are you doing that? Or mayonnaise in your cooking? That's a condiment. It's not a sauce, and it's not a marinade. Yeah, so I am fussy, but I think my fussiness is very, very justified because it's based on logic. And that is the hill that I'm willing to die on. One of the things I've been doing, you know, as well as, you know, making my own homemade cosmetics and avoiding sweet veg and trying to hoard my, like, you know, treat foods, is watching old, like, Hammer horror films. I've said this before, you know, I love kind of B movies. So my two favourite films are Night of the Demon and The Devil Rides Out. I also love Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, you know, very old horror classic films like that, where it's not about, you know, blood and guts and violence. It's more about, you know, suspense and things that scare you. So I grew up watching like Tales of the Unexpected, which I absolutely loved. And I never watched the Twilight Zone, but as I got older, I watched a few like Twilight Zone kind of series. And then my cousin put me onto some of the old Hammer House films that were out, which you can now get online really easily. So I've been watching a lot of those like 70s ghost stories or, you know, suspense tales. Yes, the effects are very, very cheesy and it can be a bit camp sometimes in terms of the acting, but the storylines are really good. And I think that is a testament to good entertainment. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles and CGI and explosions. If the tale is good, if the storyline is good, regardless of what's happening, regardless of the hammy acting, if you can follow that storyline, it's still going to be entertaining to you. So, yeah, I watched very recently one called The Asylum, which I'm sure you can get very easily. And it was really, really good. It was like a series of horror tales wrapped up into one big one. I don't want to give anything away, but if there's anything that you want to watch, I would go and check out The Asylum. It's definitely worth a watch. Definitely on a Sunday afternoon, you know, when it's raining, or like on a Friday with a glass of wine, you can just sit and watch that. It's really good. So once again, it's time for me to leave you. But what I want to leave you with this week is the notion of staying positive in the midst of negative thoughts. I was thinking about this because during this time there's been a lot of change and a lot of people have had to make very difficult but also inspirational decisions in terms of how they're going to survive financially going forward. So a lot of people have decided, do you know what, I'm going to work for myself, or I'm going to, you know, set up my own business or start a new venture. You're going to have around you people that maybe they're doubting it, or they're nervous, or they're trying to stop you with that. It could be in your own household. How do you stay positive amongst all of that negative energy? And it's something that I'm learning to do as well, because I'm doing a whole lot of new ventures. So I'm very, very positive, very focused, and I'm making sure that nobody knocks me off my spot. I think we talked about this last week, you know, staying on your square, but that was in terms of opinion. This is now about your focus and what's good for you. So the way that I do it, the way that it works for me, is to let anything just wash over me. Try my darndest not to let it affect me. And then when I'm in my own space, meditate, write down what's good, you know, do some affirmations, why you know it's going to work. Speak in positive terms, you know, when I'm successful, when I make this money next year, when I hit this target, when I do that, and speak like that with conviction, and it becomes an armor around you. Because in some situations, you're going to have to build some sort of armor. Some of the most successful people have had some of the biggest naysayers. So at the moment, there is no other time, I don't think, to be as entrepreneurial and creative and brave as you possibly can. Because at the moment, there is so much going on. Take that chance. But yeah, stay focused. Know that you're good. Know that you're going to succeed no matter what. And until next week, goodbye.